السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Are we live? I never know. I can never be certain. See? All right, and we are live. How you guys doing? Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this is going to be a short video, inshallah. And the reason I want to do, by the way, does sound fine? I can never know if the sound is fine. Someone please do confirm that it's all right. Okay, alhamdulillah. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm doing this stream because I was speaking to a brother who, mashallah, he sent me a lengthy list of books that he wanted to purchase, and he was inspired by Sheikh Uthman's video, his library tour. And I was speaking to him about some of that stuff, and I thought that I need to share some thoughts on how to know if a book is good before purchasing it, because often we buy books that are terrible and we realize that they're terrible only after we've purchased them. The reason why I'm doing this live is I'm sure there are going to be some, in case there are some questions. So I'm here to serve, inshallah. So it's all about if it's so let's put books into two categories: classical works, okay, and contemporary works. Primary works and, to a degree, secondary works. I'm referring to the contemporary works as secondary works here, but generally what I'm going for is it's all about the footnotes. It's all about the footnotes. If you are using, or if you're interested in buying a contemporary work that doesn't have useful footnotes that reference the claims that this contemporary author is making, then it's not a useful book. You want that contemporary work to refer to the original source in order for you to determine if these reports are reliable, if the author is doing a good job of communicating the information that's provided in these earlier works, to make sure nothing is taken out of context. If you go to like international bookstores that don't really focus on the ilm with a capital I, then you'll find these works. You'll find books talking about early Islamic history, and when that happens, you often find them not mentioning any source. And when that occurs, you can't be certain if a work is useful or not. I mean, you can't tell if the information is genuine or not. So that's one thing. That's one issue. In regards to classical works, it's a completely different story. When it's a classical work, you have two types of prints. Okay, one print is طبعات علمية, like academic prints, and the other print falls or is referred to as طبعات تجارية, commercial prints. So a commercial print, so basically an علمي print, طبعة العلمية, is a book that's usually it's being printed for the first time, and once again, this is where footnotes come in. The footnotes are usually, to a degree, heavy. Okay, you will find, and what's the most important thing, by the way? What's the single most important thing when it comes to a classical work that has arrived us. It's that we have the text in the way the author wanted it to arrive to us, for the way he wanted it to be read. Okay, so often we don't have the works that are, we don't have the original manuscript written by the author. What we do have is a manuscript written by a student of a student, multiple students, often students from a century or two later, maybe three. However, you often will have, especially for important works, you will have multiple manuscripts for a single work, right? And what an editor does, the main thing an editor does, is they will be quoting the work, okay? And they will include the narration, for example, in the top and in the footnotes. They will be mentioning the differences, the variants between the manuscripts, and they will be pointing out most manuscripts say this, one manuscript said that, that's perhaps a mistake. And those are very useful in order for you to determine what is the correct wording that the author wanted, because of course copyist errors occur. So that's in regards to طبعات علمية, like academic editions of works. I don't know if the word academic edition is the correct word I'm looking for, but yeah, that's in Arabic it's طبعات علمية. Now, the issue with الطبعات العلمية is that they are often quite large. You'll find a book that's like my old copy of Musnad Ahmed. I had a copy of Musnad Ahmed, which was 20 volumes long. And it was edited by Sheikh Ahmed Shakir. I think it's Dar al-Hadith bil-Qahira or something. And yeah, it's very useful. Ahmed Shakir, he was, I'm not a big fan of his hadith gradings, but it was a good edition. However, 20 volumes, that's a lot of shelf space. And unless you have unlimited shelf space, you're going to have to sometimes do what I do, and that's stick with a commercial print. And what is a commercial print? It's something that looks like this, okay? So this is Musnad Ahmed as well, and it's one volume. Now, there are a few issues here. The text is quite small, but that's just the price that I have to pay. And there are no footnotes. Now, the thing is about commercial prints. I need to mention the pros and cons, right? The commercial prints often rip off طبعات العلمية. They rip them off. They rip off the academic prints. So you're not necessarily going to fall into too many mistakes, right? It could happen. You do have copy errors that could occur, printing errors, but usually it should be fine. However, you are missing out on footnotes that sometimes are quite important. However, some طبعات, some commercial prints, I mean, like this one. I actually got this one for free. I actually traded this one in for the 20. I mean, I traded the 20 volume edition for this one edition because I can just خلاص, stick it on the shelf. I'm done. It takes this much space. It takes this much space, which isn't much, and 20 volumes is just way too much. And then you have الطبعات العلمية that overdo it with the footnotes, and let me give you an example. So I'm not going to mention the name of the book because I don't want to hate on any editors. But here is an example of a book. I'm trying not to show you much, but basically, this is the author. This is what the author says. That's it. And the rest, everything here, these are footnotes. Way too many footnotes. And that is an issue. Next page, same issue. Next page, same issue. And you know, sometimes with some of these works, you get you know, one line of text by the original author, and then you get 3-4 pages of footnotes that aren't even important. So yeah, that is an issue. So in any case, in regards to footnotes and excessive footnotes, a lot of people assume that footnotes are always beneficial, and often they aren't. Often footnotes are there, and I'm just going to be frank. Is there an issue with connection? Inshallah, there's no issue with connection. In any case, a lot of times footnotes are there just to make the book a lot bigger than it is. Sometimes I remember I was with a sheikh, and yeah, he was teaching me about footnotes, and he picked up a book and he was like, "Look at this. هذا كله كلام فاضي. This is just fluff. It's just there to make, you know, it's there to impress you. It's there to flex on you, and you're supposed to be like, oh wow, mashallah, this editor really put in effort." And at the end of the day, it's about taste. It's about the editor and what he feels should be in there, and what he feels is necessary for you. And the most important thing you need are the words of the author. When you buy a book, you're there for the words of the author. You're not there for the words of the editor who is filling the footnotes with information that you could have easily looked up. So there are books of Jarh and Ta'dil that speak about narrators and biographies. And the editor would say, oh, if you want to learn more about this narrator, then go to Jarh wa-Ta'dil by Ibn Abi Hatim, Tarikh al-Kabir al-Bukhari, you know, the books of Yahya bin Ma'in, and it would list them one by one, mentioning the page and volume number. And why are you filling the page with this information that only someone who's interested in hadith, the only someone that's interested in hadith would actually buy your book, would actually buy that book. So you're giving specialized information to someone who's a specialist who doesn't want that information. And sure, you fill up pages, and I mean, sometimes I'm sure that's how some publishers make their money. So to reiterate, let me just do a quick recap. If you want a contemporary work, flip through the book. Find footnotes. Are there footnotes? They're referencing the information. If yes, then perhaps this is a sign that it's a good book. There's no references in a contemporary work, then you might want to avoid that, unless, you know, the nature of the book is one that doesn't really require referencing earlier works. On the other hand, if it's a classical work, footnotes are beneficial. However, there are times where editors will go overboard, which is why I personally, not all the time, but I do in many cases prefer commercial prints. Unfortunately, it's so aib to say, but it's just the reality. However, some works, like major important works of hadith, I would strongly suggest investing in a proper print, by a major editor, a major publisher. So perhaps the most famous editor would probably be Bashar Awad, and his books cost more. He's put a massive amount of effort into his works. Um, yeah, and then you have editions that are, or publishers that are very known for very high class works. So, for example, Dar al-Tasil is one of the main ones, and they've been printing out the books of hadith. Most of them are available printed by Dar al-Tasil. I strongly suggest those. So, for those that are interested in any academic prints. Um, that's all I have for now, unless something comes to mind. If you have any questions, and يعني أعوذ بالله, man. Millet Ibrahim, Jazakallah khairan for like banning half the chat. That's good. It seems like there was a lot of chaos here. Um, which books would you recommend on biography of rightly guided caliphs in English? If you didn't say in English, I would have had an answer for you, Akhi. I don't know. But okay, so what's usually mentioned are the books of Salabi. And Salabi does a great job of gathering what was collected by other contemporary authors. Like in his book on Uthman, he quotes so much from Al-Ghabban. Al-Ghabban is the guy who did the great research on the subject, and he quotes him extensively. So that's available in English, alhamdulillah. Al-Faqihi, I believe, wrote about Khilafat Ali. Wonderful book, Khilafat Ali. And Salabi relies on him a lot as well. And Salabi also quotes Akram al-Umari, who does a great job. He has a book on Al-Khilafah, the four, and that's something I strongly suggest as well. I hope that answers your question. When are you writing a book? I've written multiple, alhamdulillah. Making a Discord server? No, I'm not interested in making a Discord server, but thanks for the suggestion. What do you recommend about learning basic ilm al-hadith? Oh, okay, that's a tough question, bro. That's a tough question. Yeah, there are multiple works written in English language, but ilm al-hadith is so much of ilm al-hadith is about practice. It's not about theory, and unfortunately, much of what's been written in English focuses on theory. So, what I really recommend doing is learning Arabic. It will make ilm al-hadith a lot easier, enjoyable, and I mean that's how you put it into practice. Um, all right, guys. Barakallahu fikum. I don't have much more to say. I don't want this video to be too long. OPM King asks, is mut'ah halal? And with that, I have to end the stream. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.